Um, so on Monday, in my pre-recorded session, I talk about the EE1520 exception and exception info. I probably should say this. Monday, the reason I have a pre-recorded was because I had a meeting in Taipei with NVIDIA leadership from their global. And we had a lot of interesting discussion. We will follow up, but some of the idea I would like to start to transition into our final project. So right now, starting from right now, we're into our final project mode. I will slowly reveal some of the information regarding that, especially during the final project planning process. So what we will do is, for those of you who haven't done or do interactive grading, when you come to me, and we will talk about the final project idea. But one of the things I would like to talk about today is about exception handling and regarding homework assignment number 3. So I just want to recap one thing. In homework, during my last lecture, I showed you an example that you can provide something called post. And the post is what we call from a JSON representation of an object, translate that into a C++ object. What is a post? If you follow what I said yesterday, this is a pretty complicated concept, but I want to simplify saying that this design of post is equivalent and beyond what a Facebook post is being exchanging through the service of the Meta platform. So you think about that when we're using Facebook, we're using any service like a Google. In the back end is really the exchanging of JSON. So basically, everything you saw on Facebook, on your mobile apps, or on your desktop, is being represented in this JSON format. That's actually JSON. But when I have a back-end processing, and sometimes for the reason of performance, I mean, by the way, it's nothing wrong if you want to directly process the information always in the JSON format. That's very very practical. And in fact, JSON is a very naturally integrated with Python as well as a programming language. However, for performance reasons, sometimes it's better to do it in the C++ format. C++ is a more efficient language if you want to gain performance and scale. So it will be nice to translate the JSON into C++ object, and then we can actually do that processing. Okay, by the way, as a programmer, it's always good to know all three, which is, you know about what is JSON. I mean, it's mandatory today if you want to do any kind of large-scale service over internet. And for what I call an entry-level or easier programming, you should know Python. Python is very popular if you want to do any kind of AI application. Especially if you don't care that much about performance, sometimes Python is good. But when you want to move into something which is more high performance and lower level, system level programming to support a much higher performance level about an AI application, C++ is probably your choice. So it's always good for you to know this landscape about from Python to JSON to C++, and then gradually, depending on what you want to do, and then you will spend time to learn about each of the in detail, and then you can actually realize in the best form that you want to do. Okay, so we talk about the posts. I gave you an example about what is really a backend representation, about a Facebook information being represented by JSON. So that's called a post. A post might have multiple comments, and the comment. Let me actually bring up oh, this is dangerous. Let me see. What was the? Okay, I'm going to skip this part. Do I have that? No, I don't have that slides over here. But it's basically a Facebook post will have a bunch of comments, and each of the comment might contribute by one or more person. I mean, by the way, there's of course each of the comment has a author, has somebody who contribute the comment. But the thing is that somebody might react to that comment. So you have a like, or you have a hate, or you have a love. Each of the reaction has a contributor as well, has an author as well. So you might have a multiple person involved, and each of the person might have a GPS location. So this is differentiate the public view about Facebook and the internal view about Facebook. So as the public view, you know somebody make a comment or somebody click a like, but you don't know detailed information such as GPS, such as their current location. But believe me or not, Facebook know. Because if you're running on a Facebook app on your smartphone, then your location is being submitted as well. So internally, they actually know where you are. But externally, for privacy concern, Facebook won't reveal each of the author where they are. But internally, you should be able to know that. So the information essentially processing is when you say click a like or introduce a new comment, that information need to be submitted to Facebook via the JSON format. And Facebook need to, if they decide to do that to get high performance, they might use something like a JSON to object to translate that into their internal C++ or whatever MySQL representation. But then during that process, as we mentioned, a critical moment, a critical issue we need to deal with is exception. Because when somebody submit a JSON, I don't know whether it contains all the right elements. Therefore, the exception might occur in any of this level. It could be in the GPS location. It could be in person. It could be comments. It could be reaction. It could be in a lot of other information that's defined in the directory from our class. So this is what we talked about last time. Is the concept exception is not just one particular point, but it could be multiple points that triggered by one single JSON, such as the post. Okay, so that's what we kind of talked about last time. But now I want to switch to homework assignment number 3, which is follow the idea I just pointed out. So let me see, where is my homework? Okay, this is homework assignment number 3. By the way, the good news about this homework is that you don't have to write any program. You don't have to write program. But I shouldn't say the bad news or even better news is that, but you need to read a lot of programs. So there's a difference between writing a program and reading a program. It's just like you learned about the language, about Chinese or English. You learn how to write the English or write in Chinese, but you also learn how to read. In fact, it's interesting. My programming instruction philosophy is also somewhat different from other instructor. Is I believe the reading capability of C++ program is probably more important than writing the C++ program. So what's the difference between reading and writing is that when you're doing writing, you can actually look at how other people write such program, and you can basically write the same thing. Okay, that's your writing the program. But most of the programming today is about reading. You want to read other library, like how do they implement, for example, this particular neural network architecture? How do they implement a matrix multiplication? How do they actually construct a post? And then based on that, you want to use inheritance because the difference between C and C++ is really about classes. It's really about inheritance. And inheritance is about how do you read somebody else's class. And so you can inherit, you write a little bit, but most of the part, you just use other people's code. This is called reusability. So that's why in this case, I want you to do this. I want you to generate a post, and then you're going to submit that post to my server. By the way, the server's source code uh, is actually under this project base. Okay, this project base, as I mentioned from the beginning of the class, it contains both the client and the server, which I'm going to show you a demo. This is about how a client, say a social media client, is going to communicate with social media server. That's why when you update the post. So what we want you to do is that you're going to modify the post, as I indicate over here. I want you to modify the post such that it will trigger exception. Okay, it will trigger exception. And remember, we say that we're going to accumulate lots of exception. At the end, I'm going to return the list of exception that triggered by one single post JSON. So therefore, the requirement of this homework assignment is that your program, your JSON, is going to trigger at least 10 different exceptions to the server. If you actually generate 10 different exceptions, then basically I give you the full credit. Okay, and then this one, you don't need interactive grading. Your program will be communicate with server. The server will immediately get back to you how many score. You can have multiple tries. The only tricky part about this is that for the one that's actually getting the score, it will not be the same as another JSON submitted by the other student. Okay, so I want you to communicate, share your idea, share your understanding about the code, about the C++ code. But the JSON that you modify should be independently developed by each one of you. Okay, so if I detect the same JSON being submitted, but they were from two different students, then I will first time give you a warning. But then the second time I saw that, I'm going to start deducting your code. Okay, so that's basically the idea. Okay, I gave you an example about the JSON. That's actually, you can start it using this one. This particular JSON is a post JSON. Okay, it's a post JSON, has, you can see that has comments, and inside the comment has a person, and then have a reaction. Okay, it's all about JSON. So you're going to modify some of that JSON, which will trigger exception when I try to do JSON to object from the server. So you have both the server source code and the client source code. It will be identical. So therefore, you should try your own JSON on your own server, which if you don't know how to do that, I will demonstrate to you how you can do that. And then once you realize that this will trigger more than 10 exceptions, and then you can submit to the server on my computer. So on my computer, I will recording your output. Okay, so that's at the high level that what's going to be done for homework 3. Okay. All right. So the purpose of homework is two purposes. First, I want you to familiar with the mechanism about the exception handling. So you know that how the exceptional handling is tied into the input that you generate, you submit to the system, which is the post. The second purpose of this homework is that I want you to get familiar with the project base. I want you to be familiar with the post, the comment, such that when we talk about the project idea, that you can quickly to use the code and then start modifying and then become your own project idea. Okay. All right. So and also, of course, the other purpose is that I encourage you to talk to each other because the final project you're going to work, both final project and homework assignment number 4, you're going to work as a team. So homework assignment number 4, I will deepening your understanding about this code. And I will ask you to do some minor modification and your code still work. Okay. All right. So let me get back to my code base. Okay, let's try to see how the code base really work. Okay. Okay, don't worry about this bus client error. That was something which is I was probably from last lecture. Let me modify the makefile. Let me get rid of the bus. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the NCKU hospital stuff. Okay, those things are related to the answer for homework assignment number 2, but in a distributed way. Okay, let me make clean. Okay, so in this homework assignment, there is 2 program, maybe 3 program that's most important. One program is called let me see. I want to move back a little bit. Maybe I should use my makefile. The makefile is probably the best way for me to explain this code. So there is a few target I want to introduce to you. And one, of course, is the server. The server is basically receiving all the activity related to the posts. And then the most important thing is this 2 program. One is called EE1520 update, and one is called EE1520 search. So you can think about update is when you click a like, or when you want to introduce a new post, or you want to introduce a new reaction, then you use update. Okay, you use update. And then you have a search. Search is basically saying that I am using some keyword, so I will be able to know what posts are currently available. So search is like a search engine, a Google search engine. You provide a few keywords and such that you will be able to retrieve what posts was produced by others. So that's why this 2 program. If you think about that, if you have this 3 program, server, update, and search, you pretty much can do everything you need to do with both Facebook and Google together. Okay, so just 3 programs. The rest of the program, you don't need to worry. Those are for instructional. I kind of showed the idea about how to do parsing, how to do teaming, how to do casting in C++. You can take a look at the code and try to understand. But this lecture, I'm going to focus on the 3 things: server, update, and search. All right. So I'm going to start with the update. Okay, I have all the server log here. I'm going to do this part. Let me see. Let me go to my server directory. Um, Let me see. I have where's my server posts? Okay, I do have the posts here. I'm going to show you here. Okay. And inside this post, inside my server, currently I have a bunch of posts. Let me remove all the posts. Let me actually just do this. Move, make a directory, // posts old, and move star to // posts old. So I want to keep all the old posts. This is probably from one of my UC Davis course. I asked the student, they submit all kind of posts to this directory. Now it's a clean one. So now I can start run // EE1520 server. What? Did I modify? Did I make a clean make? Wait a minute. Which one is this? This is -0. Where's my -0? Huh. Let me see. Let me actually make a clean make. I want to just check. The first thing should be, yeah, E15. Okay, without dash. That's the mistake I made. E1520. Oh, wait a minute. The other thing I need to check. I want to see what is my port number. The server must go to server.cpp. And I'm listening to port number 8300. Let me actually change this to 8301. Okay, just I want to use a different port number just in case. CD server. And I'm going to / E1520 server. Okay, I'm running my server. And now I'm going to my client. Let me check the port number again. Let me do a update 1520 update.cpp. And what I have here, I'm using my ng rock. So let me see. Let me actually make it easier to make it local. So if you want to test yourself, you can just do a local host. What was the port number I said? Is 8302 or 8301? Anybody remember what I did earlier? See, my memory is failing. Is that 8302? Check. I have to matching this two because otherwise it won't have, you need to have the same port number is 8301. Okay. Let me do a 8301. If it's localhost, that means I'm running on the same machine. Okay, now I'm all set. Okay, so now I'm going to client. Oh, I have a bunch of posts here. Let me see. I want to choose one. I want to start it. Okay, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to pick this one. Let me see what this is. I'm going to CP this one to post E1520. Today is 05/22/2025 stop JSON. Okay, that's the post I'm going to use. So I'm going to look at this post first. Okay, this post has action par, has a creation time. Let's actually change the creation time a little bit to be 2025. Let me change this to 22. Okay, from this is latitude. Okay, this is actually, I just changed my name, Felix Wu. In fact, I don't need dash actually. I just say Felix Wu and then my ID 567890. That's my. Okay, so now every post, this is important. Every post need to have a post ID. So my convention is if this post is posted by me, then the first portion is what we call the profile ID. Okay, so I'm going to use the same profile ID as my ID. And then the second one is going to be the post ID. So it's a profile ID underscore with a post ID. So I'm going to say, I'm going to just change to uh, 1. Okay, that's the first post is key. And the key, I'm going to change this to Felix Wu. The key is like, you can think about this as Google key. And then this is E1520. And I call this the other one, I call it homework 3. Okay, so I have a 3 key and Ling has just, okay, that's fine. I'm just putting something there. Yeah, you can put everything. I just location. Okay, fine. Okay, content, I'm not going to modify, assuming that's the message. And 2 is to another person and update time. Okay, fine. Yeah, I better make this also 25th, 022. Okay, so you can see this is a very simple post. It has one message and it was produced by me and has one link. And it has a destination is for a particular person called prof. Okay, so I said there was a prof with that ID. Okay, I'm going to submit this. Let me do E15. Oh, it should be / E1520 update. If I do this, it says, you see that if I don't put any argument, it will say, hey, you need to provide update JSON. Okay, so I'm going to do post E1520 JSON. Okay, so let me see. If I submit this JSON, you see that everything is being submitted. I don't think I see any exception. Everything looks okay. But let's check the server side. Let's check the server side. Where's the server side? The server, you see that the server actually got this. Okay, the server actually got this JSON. But the most important thing is if you see on the server side, CD post, you see I already have this JSON. And this JSON was actually named as a post. Remember the post ID is this. So it actually stored this post over here. So let's take a look at this. This two should be identical. Let me see a diff between post JSON and / client. What was that called? Posts underscore E1520. Is that right? Yes. Oh, these two are very interesting. Okay, there is some difference. I want to see what's the difference. The difference is the timestamp. It looks like they have some representation problem I have to fix. But overall, there is no exception. Okay, they're probably the alignment is a little. Oh, I know why it's different because this output was produced by to style JSON, the JSON to style string or something like that. So the tabbing is a little bit different. But other than that, the content should be the same. That's interesting. Sorry about that noise. Okay, I mean, I don't know what this timing, it might be, I need to change the value a little bit, but other than that, the content should be the same. Okay, there is a program, I forgot what it is. I can actually compare this two JSON to see if they are in the content, they're identical. Okay, so now you see that there is no problem. I have a JSON, so it's update. So now let me run the server again. Unbelievable. That's okay. So I'm going to generate. So this one, when I run client update, it doesn't have any what I call exception. Now I'm going to generate exception. So I'm going to copy this. Copy this to post another dot JSON. So now I'm going to try to generate. Any suggestion about what I can do to create to introduce exception? Any idea? Okay, so let's look at the code. Let's look at the code. So that's why I say you have to look at the code to see what's going on. Oh, wait a minute. What did I do? Ah, no, I want cancel. Ah, okay, thank you. Oh, you know what? I cannot do that. I cannot do that when I'm doing sharing. That's interesting. Okay, I'm going to use this one. Okay, fine. Okay, let's take a look at the post. Post.cpp. This is what I want you to do. So search for JSON to object. Okay, so this is the code, and this is the code where the source of the exception. So let's actually check exception. You see that the first one is that if your ID is null or ID is not a string, then it's going to generate some kind of exception, right? So we're going to, I want to trigger, whenever there is a check, there's a way for me to trigger that. So now let's actually look at ID. Where's ID? ID is this part. So ID is supposed to be what? It's a string. So right now, over here is a string. So let me actually change that to be an object. I changed that to be object. What is the object? Okay, ID object. Okay, it is still a string, but I kind of encapsulate the whole thing within an object. Remember in JSON, if you have a curly bracket, that means the object. So by doing this, I already changed the value type of ID from string to object. So let's try to see what the program looks like right now. Okay, let me try to run this. The server is up. Yes, the server is up. So let me do this. So I'm going to do another. So it has an exception. You see that? Now it's an exception. So what is the exception? Is actually saying that what? JSON value, key value type mismatch. And this has happened in JSON to object class post. That's what I modified. And then which key value pair is the ID. So this, by looking at this, you know that there was a one exception I caught in this JSON saying that, okay, the value, the ID, the key value type mismatch. That's exactly what I intended to do, right? So you catch this really well. Okay, so let's do another one. Let's change another class. Let's go to GPS because it has GPS. So I'm going to, that's why I say you look at the code, find out the exception, and you modify your JSON to trigger that. Okay, that's what I want you to do. Let's look at GPS. So inside GPS, again, we look for JSON to object. Let's see, what is okay, so you need to have a latitude. And the latitude need to be double. Okay, so this time I'm going to modify the key a little bit different. I want to trigger this one. So I go to my client and I'm going to modify this JSON to look for a place that has a latitude. Okay, here's a latitude, and I'm going to make a TTT. Okay, I'm going to change the key latitude to be something which is a typo. Okay, so I make a typo, and now this one, I'm going to trigger it. And now I'm going to run the same program. Now you see I have two, you see I have a two exception. You see that I have a two exception. And now the first exception still exists. That's the ID type. But the second exception is basically saying that, hey, I'm actually saying that you have a key value that's missing. And what is the class? That's GPSDD. That's exactly what I just modified. And then what's the key is the latitude. So the way to interpret that is that, hey, when I try to convert a JSON, a GPS JSON to a C++ JSON, I need to have that key latitude. And you didn't have it. And so that's why it will complain. And it will tell you exactly where that is. So this information is not only we know how much of the information you provide in JSON is either inaccurate or the type is different. It actually tell you where it is. So you know that that's exactly related to GPS location, that's related to the post. Okay, so what I did is I actually produced two exceptions over here. So I want you to make the modification on the JSON. You can use my JSON or you can create your own JSON. By the way, have fun to do this, and then you can even share with your friend. You can share with your friend to have a JSON. Somebody posts a JSON, the other person can modify, the other person can do certain things. It's actually just doing a social media communication, but using the JSON as the backend. But in a way, you can produce at least 10 different exceptions. So this one has two exceptions. Okay, 10. Oh, I know one thing I have to know which student, what is the what you have submitted. Okay. So what you need to do is, wait a minute, using the ID you have during the participation. Remember, in your participation, you need to have the ID, right, to represent. So I know which student has participated. So I want your post to do that. Hey, wait a minute. Richard, what's your ID? Do you have ID? Not student ID, the participation ID. You never participate? Okay, fine. You're failed. I'll flunk you for this class. Okay. So for the rest of you, I assume you know what I'm talking about. Okay, you have a name because is the like the first class, everybody obtained the ID or something, some sort of ID. I remember I have a list because I assign. It's my fault. Okay, I forgot to assign you an ID. The course ID. Okay, so you need to provide your ID. What is ID? Let me tell you what it is. So for example, if my ID, I forgot what's my ID. My ID is probably Felix. So you want to put, this is the name, you want to put the VSID to be Felix. Okay, you want to put whatever name assigned to you. I remember I was using the Lord of the Ring, all the character in the Lord of the Ring, and you want to, oh, and then over here, let me actually get this out. Get this, and this ID, then this case should be, if my name is my ID is Felix. Let me use something. Frodo. I think one of you is Frodo because Frodo is Frodo in this class today? Who is Frodo? Do you remember? Okay, I know one of you is Frodo. Okay, so then if you're Frodo, and then is Frodo 1 is your the ID for this post, but your VS ID is Frodo, and such that I will record your grade correctly. If you, I saw you have a 20 exception, but this 20 exception are different type. Okay, let me actually do another one. Anybody want to pick a class? Anybody want to pick a class? Let's do what? Pick a class that we can make an exception. I already done posts and let's make it comments. Comments is kind of interesting. Okay, so again, if I go to comments, I will search for JSON to object. Okay, inside here, I'm going to make two more exception. Okay, in comments. So one is ID. Comments also have ID. Oh, I'm not going to mess up with ID this time. I'm going to mess up with something else. Okay, I'm going to mess up with a from. Inside the from, saying that it must be null. No, this is person. Essentially, I can make a person. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a type. I'm going to change the type and front. Okay, and then what's the other one? I'm going to change the message. The message need to be mistyped. Okay, I can do this. No problem. I'm going to make two things to make the two exception. Another, let's say wrong. Oh, no. I want to look for comments. No comment? Maybe this one I didn't have comment. Oh, this one I don't have a comment. That's not good. So this one, because I don't have comment, then I don't have a lot of things to play with. Let me include some comments, okay? Let me pick something else. I have a post comment here. I'm glad I choose comment because comments are very important. Okay, I have a comments here. So I'm going to comment 7. Post. Comment 7.json. Okay, inside the other post, I have a comments. I just copy this part. I have a one comments. See, this is not very user-friendly, but it is internally how the information is represented. Okay, I'm going to come over here, action, created. Okay, I'm going to do this right before here. Okay, so I have the comments, but there's something I should tell you is that when I have the comment, each of the comments should have a comment ID. Okay, this one better to be 0522 as well. So the home is fine, but the comment need to be the same. This is a Frodo. And that the first one is called profile ID. The second one is called post ID, which is a 1. And then the third one is called comment ID. So then I can uniquely identify each of the comment. That's why this is a Facebook convention that you have the profile ID or page ID. The second element is a post ID. The third element is a comment ID. Okay, and then I said, okay, this is my comment. And then I have a reaction. The reaction is, let me change the time. The reaction is from somebody, love. Okay. Yeah, this should be fine. Let me try it. Let me first run it to see, because now I didn't introduce any exception with comments. Let me just check whether the comment I just put in is actually valid. So I'm going to run this again. Why only about one exception? Post ID, what did I do wrong? I thought I changed the other one. What's the other one? Is it from? Let me actually check. What happened to the front? Oh, I get rid of that, the other exception. Yeah, okay. So I actually retrieved this ID to be photo one. So this exception is gone. So I only have one exception. So now I'm going to change the comment part. I'm going to change the ID part. The ID part, I'm going to change to be the from. Right now, from is an object. So I'm going to modify. Wait a minute. This from doesn't have a name. That's interesting. Hold on 1 second. That is interesting. It doesn't complain about this. Okay, I will take care of that a little bit later. Let me try to process the other element first. Let me get rid of the from, and I change this to be an array instead of object. I make it an array. I make it an array, and then I submit. Okay, now you see I have I have a lots of, this is already finished homework assignment number. I already triggered 14. Wow. Okay, I'm not supposed to tell you this. Man, how can I have 14? ID from and to. Wow, I actually changed a lot of them. Why is that? Okay, I have to figure out during the break. I mean, I just modify one thing. I mean, how can I trigger 14 different exceptions? Okay, anyway, let's take a break and then I will see you in 10 minutes. Let me try to fix and see why I have 10 different reaction, 10 different exception here.